And we are recording. So thank you all for joining us. I am Dr. Renee Dorn. I'm the Director of Alumni Relations for GSEP. And this is our Student Alumni Roundtable for the MS in Behavioral Psychology Online. And we have, it seems like somewhat of a full house today. We have a lot of people joining us, some alums, some staff, and students. So let's go ahead and get started and do some introductions. In addition to myself being with Alumni Relations, I also have my assistant here, Ms. Sophia Henriquez.
Hi everyone. Nice to see everyone.
Yes, she is wonderful. Remember her whenever she contacts you. And so, for our program today, we have the Assistant Program Director for the MS in Applied Behavioral Analysis, Behavioral Psychology for online. And this is Dr. Lucine Garpetian. I hope I pronounced that correctly. And Sophia, if you could introduce all of our other guest speakers for today.
Yes, I want to thank everyone for taking the time to share your time and wisdom with all of us. We truly appreciate it. So for our first guest speaker, her name is Azizel. I hope I'm saying that correctly as well. We also have Raquel, Erin, Jessica Samuels, who's the Senior Director of Career Success, and also Leah Murray, who is our Student Support Advisor. So thank you so much to our staff and alumni for being with us today.
Yes, and thank you to the students for joining us. Hopefully you will learn a lot from our Student Alumni Roundtable. And actually the purpose of the Roundtable is so that you'll have an opportunity to connect with alumni and faculty. You'll be able to ask questions, discuss current program studies, receive tips on how to transition from student to graduate and then to alum in the workforce, and then talk about next steps after graduation. So to get started, let's talk with our assistant director. So Dr. Lucine, why don't you go ahead and get started and tell us a little bit about what is going on within the MS program for behavioral psychology and applied behavioral analysis.
Sure. Thank you so much, Dr. Renee. For those of you that don't know me, I am Lucine Garapetian, and Renee, you pronounced my name just fine.
Okay, good.
Or the pronunciation fluctuates from Garapetian or Garapetian. It's long but phonetic, so thank you for that introduction. I'm so happy to be here with you guys today and so excited that you guys were able to join our roundtable for you guys. So you guys, I think, are probably either in your first year or your second year of your programs, which means that you guys might be anywhere along your educational path, from having just started taking your concepts and principles classes and your introduction to what this field is all about, to you're getting close to graduating and doing your practicum. And wherever you fall along that spectrum, we're very excited that you took the opportunity and time to be with us here today to learn about what you can do post-graduation and how you can set yourself up for success in practicum and beyond. So what I do for our program is on the administrative side, I help to support our students if they have any questions, whether it's about the program or about their practicum experience or clinical training or career opportunities within the field. Recently we brought on a clinical training coordinator specific to the MS in Behavioral Psychology program, Azizel Dadwal, and she'll talk a little bit more about her position. So we're really excited to have that support, because what that allows us to do is to think forward and to be proactive about what can we do to better support our student body. One thing that I want to clarify for you guys, I know you guys may have been hearing the term applied behavior analysis and behavioral psychology being thrown out, and I want to explain where that came from. The program that you guys are currently enrolled in is called MS in Behavioral Psychology, but for those students starting in our program in fall of 2020, their degree name will say Master's in Applied Behavior Analysis to better reflect the degree that they're getting. They are exactly the same program, it's just we did a name change to better reflect the degree that the students are earning. So the students are very clear about the career paths that they will have in this field. So that's where the MS ABA came from. For those of you that entered before 2020, you will still maintain your MS in Behavioral Psychology name. So that being said, one of the things that I want to take the opportunity to do too is to tell you guys about all of the wonderful ABA organizations that are out there. And I want you guys to reach out to your regional chapters of ABAI. So in California, we have the California Association for Behavior Analysis, and in each other state, they have an equivalent of that regional chapter of ABAI. And I want to encourage you to, even as students, apply to become members of these organizations so that you continue to get daily updates about where applied behavior analysis is heading within your field. In addition to that, I want to encourage you to also become a member of the Association for Behavior Analysis International, which is our national organization that sends out these newsletters and information about the current state of our practice in the field. There are other organizations that you guys could look into, such as APBA, or the Association for Professional Behavior Analysts, BHCOE, the Behavioral Health Center of Excellence, and ASAT, the Association for the Scientific Advance. I don't know what ASAT stands for, to be honest with you guys, but they basically make sure that we are offering evidence-based practices and clarify what evidence-based practices in behavior analysis are. And so the reason that I'm bringing up these organizations is one way for you to be connected to the rest of our field while you're in the program, and when you graduate from our program, is to be associated and affiliated with these organizations, because they can send you, or they do send you, monthly newsletters and statements about the state of their practice and their consumers, and that's a way for you to feel connected beyond Facebook groups. And that also can lead to a lot of great job opportunities for you guys, because many of these organizations offer job boards, and you can upload your resume or you can browse through the jobs that have already been posted on there by employers, so you can explore different avenues of career paths that you might be interested in. Now, every year I get multiple emails from students asking me about, well, what can I do if I don't necessarily want to work in the field of early intervention or work with individuals with autism? And is there another pathway for me? And the answer to that question is yes, there is. However, you're going to have to learn to market your repertoire and your skill set in a way that highlights all of the things that you're capable of doing. Because our field is pretty small, and the certification of BCBA is not really well known in the rest of the world outside of autism and developmental disability treatment. So if you want to apply this repertoire to any other area, then you kind of need to be able to market the skills that you have for a particular position that you're interested in applying for. Beyond that, you can also go on ABAI's website and explore their special interest group, focus group, or special interest group, or SIGs, and find one that you like and contact the person in charge of that SIG to seek out opportunities in areas like behavioral gerontology or organizational behavior management or clinical behavior analysis. These positions exist, but they might require you to relocate to a different part of the country, or to first gain experience before you can enter that workforce. Usually, if you're still in the earlier parts of your program and getting ready to do your practicum, we recommend that you do your practicum experience with individuals with autism and developmental disabilities, just so you can get that basic repertoire under your belt and you learn to do all of the skills that are required by the BACB's 5th edition task list. And once you've done that, you'll be in a really good position to then take those strategies and critical thinking skills that you've learned within your fieldwork and coursework and tweak them to apply to the behavior of an organization or to the behavior of a clinical issue, like working with someone with OCD or something. And so I don't want to hijack this conversation. I think I'm going over my limit. I'm going to cut myself off here, and I am happy to answer any other questions that you guys have about this topic. And so I will pass it back to Dr. Renee.
All right, thank you so much. Let's stop here just quickly for a moment and ask if any students, if you have any questions regarding what Dr. Lucine just said about your program and what's going on. No, no one has any questions? Okay, at this point, then we are going to move on to our alums. And we have 3 alums that are joining us today. We have Kelly and Aaron and Azizel. So I'm going to start with Kelly. And what I want actually all of the alums is just to tell everyone a little bit about your experience within the behavioral psychology program and what you got out of the program and any tips that you have for the students to help them to get through the program. So Kelly, we'll start with you.
Hi, I'm Kelly. So I currently work, I'm a graduate of July 2020, so pretty fresh. I was actually also a graduate of Pepperdine's undergraduate. So I went to Seaver and got my biology and psychology degree in 2011. So it was kind of cool to be able to like come back to Pepperdine from my home in Chicago and kind of stay connected to that community. I think I'm one of like very few people that have done that for this program. I currently work in a clinic in Chicago. I work as an RBT. Right now I'm doing a lot of telehealth therapy. So since COVID happened, a lot of our programs got moved to teletherapy. And luckily, because I was in this program, I was able to kind of market myself to my managers saying like, hey, I can do this. I have these skills. To do teletherapy. So I was one of like a very few select RBTs that was allowed to do that under the supervision of my BCBAs. Sorry. That's always like the worst timing when he does that. So yeah, I was able to do that. So that's been really fun. And a lot of it involves like parent training. And it's been really cool to get to see clients' parents and implement some of the procedures that we typically do with the kids ourselves. So it's been a new perspective. Hold on, I'm gonna have to go.
All right, well, you know what? Until Kelly can come back, we're gonna go to Aaron. So Aaron, why don't you tell us a little bit about what you're doing and how the program helped you. We're going to come back to you, Kelly. Don't worry. We're going to come back to you.
Sure. So I'm Aaron. I'm also a July 2020 graduate. Kelly and I, funnily enough, also were assigned to our final behaviorism project of the whole program. So we just got off of working on a project together. So it's funny to see her again, and it's great to see you again, Lucine.
And they were in my class.
Yeah, we were both in Lucine's class. So anyway, I am currently and was for my practicum working at Gateway Learning Group. We're based out of San Francisco. So since my practicum started, I've been working as a program supervisor and RBT, which is a mid-level position where you can make changes to the program book and provide parent training and do some of the stuff that RBTs can't ethically do. So I'm doing that right now. I'm running the RBT. I'm one of the RBT mentors currently. So I run the monthly meetings with a BCBA and provide trainings once a month to 2 different groups. And yeah, so I think overall coming out of the program, it was really nice to be able to kind of have that, I guess, ability to take on more responsibility and to kind of try some of the things that you're learning in the program, some of the behavioral principles, and kind of program, like making program books. I would say from the program, I think this program is amazing. Lucine was probably one of my favorite professors I've ever had. She's super knowledgeable, her and Professor Najowski, and every professor in this program is amazing and super knowledgeable about the field. I feel like I learned so much from them. And like Kelly, being in this program has given me the opportunity to do telehealth program or telehealth sessions with learners. And I would say one of the biggest tips I can give is if you're working in the field right now, even if it's not in your practicum, if you're an RBT, really creating those kind of not only student mentor relationships in the context with your professors, but also with the supervisors you have on your cases. One of my favorite parts of being in this program was kind of going to my supervisors on the practicum side and being like, oh, well, my teacher said this, and then like kind of coming from the team what the teacher or what the site supervisor said and taking it to the teacher and kind of seeing that there are so many different, even though the program or the principles of ABA are universal, the ways they're implemented are not, and people do have preferences and opinions on different types of programs, so it's not all black and white, and there is a lot of personality you can put into the field and use kind of your own innovation. So I think it really is like, it's such a great program because it's really opened my eyes to like what ABA can be, I would say.
Great. Thank you, Aaron. You know what, Kelly, I want to bring you back in because Aaron was saying that the two of you were working on a project together. And so I want to get some more details about this project that both of you were working on. So if both of you could sort of talk about what that project was. Uh-oh.
I can give a brief
Yeah,
synopsis.
you got this, Kelly.
So it was kind of like what I would consider almost like a capstone project. And it was basically, we were given a topic about behavior analysis and behaviorism and having to kind of bring it back down to layman's terms and kind of present it in like a fun and creative way. So our project was I don't even remember what the actual part was, but basically our group was
Theories of learning.
Yeah, theories of learning. And we had to teach it to preschool teachers. So we did kind of like a mock satire circle time for that. And it was pretty fun to have to be like creative and think outside the box for that. And kind of look at it in a way that was very different than any other academic task I think I've ever had to do.
And this was for one of your classes, or this was outside of that?
This was for our behaviorism class. So it is kind of like the capstone class of the whole program, because it's where you really get into like the philosophy of behaviorism and how it kind of diverged in like the history of modern psychology and contemporary psychology. So where like the split happened between traditional psychology and radical behaviorism, and it's really cool to kind of go back to the root. And you really start at like philosophy, like you start at Socrates and you end at like current time. So it's really an awesome course. Definitely my favorite course that I took over the program.
Oh, wow. Fantastic. Oh, my goodness. Well, thank you for sharing that about your project. So, okay, our next alum is Azizel. So, Azizel, you were part of the in-person behavioral psychology. So
Yeah.
tell us a little bit, and you're working with the online. So tell us a little bit about what you know from the in-person and what you know about the online, and maybe a comparison between the two.
So I was part of the first cohort ever of the MSBP program on Ground. So I'm like the OG crew that, we didn't really know what to expect from the program in general, and we were thrown in, but I absolutely loved the program. I'm a native of the LA area, so obviously it made sense for me to go to the on-ground option. We actually didn't have an online option even then. And I had been working in the field of ABA, working with children with autism for about 2.5 years. And I decided I want to go ahead and get my BCBA. So that program, the intention I went into it with was I want to get my BCBA, and the program did exactly that. I got to take all the courses that I started getting super interested in, just off of fostering that interest within my workspace. And yeah, sat for the BCBA exam, became a program supervisor at my previous workplace, and I had worked there in that position for 2 years. And I transitioned to this role in academia in June. So I just took a little bit of a change, and I wanted to work with students and kind of develop that expertise and knowledge of working with students in a master's program. And it's been absolutely cool, just reviewing things that folks in the online program have in comparison to like the comps and stuff I had to do in grad school. I'm like, oh wow, things have changed a lot. But it's so nice. It's like kind of seeing the evolution of something and seeing the program become more fine-tuned, and seeing that it can reach so many people across the US with the expertise of Dr. Nadowski and Dr. Garpetian. Like everyone's under this really nice family of Pepperdine, and everyone gets like such great care of information being given to them. So I love this.
Oh, well, that's wonderful. I'm glad you're able to be with us so you can sort of give us a comparison between the in-person and then the online a little bit. So at this point, let me ask the students, do you have any questions regarding the alums and possibly any tips that they may be able to give you for anything in particular with the program that you're in, or any classes that you may be taking? Do you have any issues with some classes that you may want to talk about or bring up to the group? Because then maybe we can help you with it. Nobody? No questions? No issues? Oh, yes, Robin, come on in. Let us know what's going on.
Hi everyone. I'm only in my second term, and I just think this program is absolutely amazing. I've got exactly 4 teachers since I've started, and I think they're all simply amazing. I think the last webinar one of my classmates and I went to just last week just kind of freaked us out a little bit when they talked about practicum, like, it's coming, but we're in our second term and we have all these plans, like, okay, so between fall and winter we're going to go look for a site, because neither one of us are in the field currently, and I know COVID has shut some things down in California a little bit more than the rest of the country. But the information of get your site now, we're just like, oh, okay, what do we do? And so how did you guys oh, my personal question is there an internship? Like, I don't actually have to work, so I'd be perfectly willing to do an internship to find, the demographic that I'd be more comfortable with. Is that available?
You know what? Let me start with Dr. Lucinet. Would you happen to have some information regarding that?
Yeah, absolutely. So that's a great question, Robin, and you are certainly not the first one to ask it. Unfortunately, in our field, the way that it works is that because you're delivering behavior analytics services to a vulnerable population, and you're operating under the BACB's ethics code, you have to be working directly under a BCBA, and they don't allow you to volunteer in those types of positions. And so that's where our employment requirement comes in. It's more of a liability issue of, in order for you to receive the supervision from the BCBA supervisor, you have to be under some type of like an employment structure or of an organizational structure where you're being overseen by a BCBA who you're responsible for answering to, and that BCBA is responsible to a clinical director that they have to answer to. So unfortunately, a volunteer position doesn't exist, but perhaps you could talk to your site about doing part of your work as an employee, and then another part of your work potentially in terms of like helping the organization develop materials for training or something as a voluntary task. And sometimes you'll find that organizations do ask that, or offer you some hours that way, where they say that Any restricted type of work that you do, which is direct one-on-one client work, you can do or you do as an employee, but then they offer you unrestricted hours as so the unrestricted hours are you practicing what a BCBA would be doing, like program development, data analysis, things like that. You would be doing those things potentially on a voluntary basis. Now, that again depends on the state in which you're operating. I know in California that's not possible, because in California, the employment and labor laws say that you can't be doing free work for an organization that's benefiting from the work that you're doing. So different states may have different rules, and you may want to talk to your employers in different states about that. But here in California, you would have to be employed.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much. You know what? From that question, I want to bring in Jessica and Leah so that they can talk a little bit about employment and opportunities that are out there for the current students. So Jessica, go ahead and talk a little bit about what is out there and what students can look for in regards to employment opportunities.
Sure. Hi, nice to meet everyone today. I'm the Senior Director of Career Success, and I am a practicing executive and leadership and career coach myself. And I get excited about these questions about what are the opportunities out there. They're endless. And so I thought, to help you understand how many endless possibilities there are out there, I would love to showcase LinkedIn for a bit to showcase how you can network and find new connections that can assist you with locating a practicum, to also looking for full-time opportunities once you are credentialed. Leah, I wanted to turn it over to you for a second just to introduce, how are the conversations that you're having with students around career? How are they going? What are some common questions that you hear? So I can weave that into my demo very shortly.
Perfect. As far as what I'm hearing from students about their career, I would say the number one thing that I discuss with students is I always ask is what you're learning in the program, do you feel it's applicable to your time outside of the program? Because it's so essential, and 100% of the time students are always like, yes, it definitely does. And then after that conversation, it's students who might be looking for a non-traditional route when it comes to ABA and applying this degree to a more non-traditional route, which I know, Robin, that is something that you might be looking into as well. So those are really the main types of conversations that come to the student success team about a student's career after their program.
Great, Leah. Thank you so much for highlighting that. And Leah and I, we work very closely together. So the career success team is available to you. What I would pitch here is if you are having any questions around job search, networking, online branding, your materials, whatever it may be, reach out to my team. We have a dedicated team of career coaches that can assist you for your practicum preparation all the way to preparing for a formal job search. And so we are here. You have unlimited amounts of engagements with us. So our motto is early and often. So we want to see you. We want to see you schedule time with us. We want you to send in your materials to get feedback from coaches. In the meantime, I want to show you a few tips and tricks on how to continue to explore this beautiful field that you're in and that you're studying. So I would like to share my screen, and can you all see my screen? Lots of LinkedIn, yes? Okay, so I'm going to take it all the way left to right here, okay? First and foremost, before you start to engage with anyone on LinkedIn, you've got to make sure that you have a solid profile, all right? If you do not have a profile that you're wanting to brag about, please come visit the career team. We can help you ensure that you are branding yourself as a BCBA professional, and that you're also creating a narrative, especially in your headline space, that you are showcasing not only where you are today, but where you're going. And so the narrative around that is your headline in your LinkedIn. You want to have a really amazing about section that crafts and highlights your specialties. And you also want to ensure that you have your experience section highlighted to showcase some results that you have achieved in your formal role. So that, before you go connecting with anyone, I want to make sure that I say that first and foremost. The second tip that I have from you, we're doing this right now, which is this roundtable, connecting with your alumni. I can't stress that enough. You have Azizel here, you've got Aaron, and you have Kelly. If you don't connect with them after this, you're going to be in timeout because these are your network. This is a part of your network, and you've got to make sure that you are making time. And anytime you connect with anyone, whether you're interning, you're at the grocery store, you're telling someone what program you're in, get their information and connect with them on LinkedIn, because your network, it's not just how many people you are connected with, it's who they're connected with that can also help you open up more opportunities. So you see this here, 11,855 members in the Pepperdine Alumni Network. Wow, right? And I always describe alumni as like sports teams. I don't care what sport you follow, gymnastics, football, baseball, whatever it may be. As soon as you tell someone, oh, I'm into that sport, it's like you've known each other for years. So that's how alumni work. It's like, oh, you have a need. Well, let me try to see who's in my network. Let me connect you. Send me your resume. I'll send it. I don't know what's going to happen, but they want to see you win. So as soon as you get connected to this alumni network, it's really good. And that's why I was so thankful to get an invitation from Renee. This is how you start to begin those connections authentically. And these 3 students that have successfully graduated and entered their careers, that's just 3 out of the 12,000 that you can connect with. So join the alumni networks. There probably is a group on Facebook somewhere, maybe Instagram. So just find all the social media, Pepperdine alumni groups, and join them. Okay, that's step number 2. So first is get your profile strong and professional. Second is connect with your alumni groups. The third is when you, and I can do another search here, and I have run out of searches, so forgive me. But if you're on LinkedIn and you want to connect with your school, there's an alumni tool that allows you to search for many more alumni outside of that group. So what I showed you previously is just a group that people have joined that group on LinkedIn. Now let's look for some more alumni. So if you do the search bar and just type in Pepperdine University, you will come to an alumni page. Number 1, I'd like you to follow this page so you can see maybe posts and activities and things that are going on in your university so that you can keep up with the trends. But then there's this magical tab down here that says alumni, okay? And when you search for alumni, there are a lot of folks that are coming out. Now, I need to upgrade because I do this type of search every day and I need to expand my profile. But if you were to search this, you can see all the alumni that you're connected with or not connected with. And then you can use the filters by searching in things like behavior analysis and think keywords that are applicable to your program to find more alumni that you may not have been connected with on a roundtable like this. This is the tool. This is key when you are networking to find your alumni and to specifically search for all of the folks that are in the behavior analyst program. I've got a question here. Thank you, Jessica, for all the information. And yes, Pep Connect, I forgot to talk about that as well. So Pep Connect is another amazing network of all the Pepperdine staff, faculty, alumni, and students. So many tools that you all have at your fingertips to continue networking. So we have highlighted that. The 4th thing that I want to highlight here is now to connect with recruiters. There is this search, think of LinkedIn as a database. When I go out to eat and I say, where do I want to eat tonight? My husband says, oh, let's go get some Thai, right? And we take our phones out and we put in Thai, and what happens? There's 4 Thai restaurants that pop up, and it's within proximity, the testimonials, so forth and so on. Google's a huge database. And so is LinkedIn. It's a huge database that if you start to put keywords in, you will find people that match your keywords. So I just did a quick search here in preparation to this roundtable and put in ABA recruiter, and 42 results came up. I can filter by, and I actually filtered this by California. Not to say everyone is located in California that attends Pepperdine, but there are 42 results here that pop up when I conduct that search. I would encourage you to open up every one of those profiles, view to see if they're active practitioners, and connect with them. Come up with a unique connection request. Don't just say connect and hope they connect. Come up with a connection request that says, hi, I am looking for some alumni to connect with that are in the behavior analyst space. And as I did this search, my eyes zeroed in on this, hiring BCBAs and ABA therapists. I don't know who Stephanie Velez is, but she's already going to be my next best friend. So what I would do here is I open up her profile and I look and see what she's all about. And I can see she's a human resources specialist and recruitment manager, right? So if I touch this, and I look and see her profile, oh, sorry, I've got to go back. What I was trying to do is select the company that she works at. So Task Kids. Let's see if that takes me there. Okay. Nope, it doesn't. Let's see. Can I get to what I'm trying to do is find a company page here. Hold on. Task Kids. Okay. Maybe that's her company. Maybe. I don't think that's her company. But usually how this works, if you find a profile that they work somewhere, you would want to select that company name and find out more information about the company. This is going to allow you to say, would I want to intern there? Would I want to conduct my practicum there? Would I like to work there eventually, by doing some research on the company and the people that work there. And then the last tip that I want to showcase here is the jobs platform. Many of you already know that the jobs platform is here, but the filters are really what is underutilized when you're conducting a search. And so again, I just put in really quickly, behavior analyst in California, 678 results pop up. That's a lot. So we need to start to filter this a bit to try to hone in on maybe an internship that you're looking for. But before I select the filter to zero in there, one of the biggest tips here is right here. This job here, and I'm not sure if you would be wanting to apply for a BCBA clinical director, but say you were. This talent acquisition supervisor put her information out there to say, hey, I'm hiring for this role. As a career coach, I love when this happens. It doesn't happen all the time, but when it happens, you have the ability to send them an in-mail. And what that means is if you are not connected with them, you can reach out to them and express your interest in the job after you apply. Every recruiter gets on average 292 applications per job position. That's a lot of materials to sift through. So recruiters are especially thankful when someone spends the extra time to connect with them on LinkedIn and says, hi, I just recently applied for this position, but I wanted to express my interest in this beyond the application. I'm attaching my resume and my cover letter for the role, and I would love to have a 15-minute conversation with you. That's how you set yourself apart. And this right here, Ashley Duba is saying, go ahead and connect with me. I would love to have a reach out from you. So this is just a beautiful tool here. And then I'll showcase one more thing, and then I'll open it up for questions around things that I've covered here. The filters are wonderful to help you reduce the number of results that come up in your searches. So if I were to look to reduce this, maybe I will look for internship in the experience level here. And hopefully that reduces my job count to the 7 that's in this parentheses here. Maybe it won't do 7, but maybe it 1. So, okay. I don't know what this role is about, but behavior technicians, students, paras, and educators welcome. So I would explore this. And again, I can show you the example of finding a company that this is the company page. So say you are interested in applying, but you want to find out a little bit more about this company first, you can visit the company page. If you apply to a job, I always advise you to follow the page so that the recruiter sees, oh, you were interested in our company and you know what's going on there. And you can also get some really powerful insights about the company growth and about the makeup of their employee distribution. And this is also very helpful information when you're having a phone interview to express what you know about the company that you show you've done your actual research. So I could go on and on and on about this stuff, but my message to you is early and often, make sure that you're connecting with the career team so we can help you devise a plan that has you either getting prepared to find a practicum site or either full-time employment. And don't wait till the last minute. Don't come to us the semester before you graduate. We want to see you early so we can be working on these materials as you're in the program.
All right, thank you. Thank you so much, Jessica.
You're
I just wanted
welcome.
to make sure, Sam, was your question answered with everything that Jessica presented? Perfect, perfect. We did have another question in the chat that I wanted to get answered, and that is from Jenna. And she said, what overwhelms her the most is trying to retain all of the information that they are learning in preparation to sit for the exam. So is there any advice or tips on this? So I'm going to ask the alums, do you have any advice or some tips regarding preparing to sit for the exam?
Yeah, I can talk about this a little bit. So after I graduated, I didn't take the exam right away. I actually waited like 6 months. In my company, I was able to be promoted and just take the cases that health insurances would allow to, have me supervise. But I also started studying and I used the Pass the Big BCBA exam textbook. I found that to be really helpful and just reviewing a lot of the slides from my lectures. Um, Frankly, I felt that working and going through my coursework at the same time really prepared me for the exam because I kind of knew how to use both ethics and what the content of ABA and the principles and concepts to just I was able to understand it through that. But if there was one resource that you should invest in and you want to, I would use that specific learning tool. And I can type it in here too. I think it's called Pass the Big BCB exam. And what I like about it is after every chapter, like you get to go through all of the concepts within each chapter, and then they have a quiz, and you can just take that, kind of review the things that you are still having trouble understanding or that aren't really, you're not remembering how to answer, and then you can just retake it and review those specific sections rather than, going through the whole chapter again.
Okay, perfect. That sounds great. Aaron, you also had a comment too as well.
Yeah, I was gonna say, keep your SAF meds that most of your classes will have. I still have mine. I definitely plan on using them a lot more when I am starting to get ready to take the exam. And I'd say that was really helpful. And also just again asking both your anyone you work with on your site, or if you're working in the field already, um, talking to your teachers about the concepts, talking to your fellow students. I think it's really important to just talk about the principles of ABA, because I think a lot of the time, like in a vacuum or when you read them in a textbook, it's a lot different than when they're applied, and just kind of understanding like the application of the jargon and getting used to that is really important. So SAF meds, short answer. Make flashcards and study them.
Yeah, I'll agree with Aaron that a lot of our classes had us do staff meds, and then some of us had them as like extra credit. And I would definitely say to like take advantage of that opportunity to get extra credit, but then also have this tool that you can use later. So definitely do that because it's like a double bonus. The other thing that me and my supervisor, that she was my practicum supervisor, but also my current supervisor, is we do kind of like self-assess. I do a self-assessment on myself every like 3 months to see what I'm learning and what areas I need to focus on. But then she also does it on me. So she can say like, well, this is something that I see that you're improving with, and this is something that I think we need to like go and do a little more studying on. So kind of being graded even after school is finished kind of has helped me kind of stay on track.
Perfect. Dr. Lucina, you had a comment too.
Yeah, I just here, let me put my hand down. I also wanted to stress the importance of SAF meds. I know I took the exam a long time ago, but that's exactly what I did. I took the Cooper, Heron, and Heward book and went to the glossary and made flashcards of all of the terms, and I memorized those terms. Because the idea behind that is if you know the definition and then you read a scenario question where you have to apply the definition, fully and completely understanding that definition will make you have a better approach to the application of that question. And then you just want to make sure that you practice your test taking skills, because a lot of times these multiple choice exams are worded in a really tricky way. So you want to take your time, read the question, see if it's like an always or never type question. Is it something that they're trying to trip you up? Like I'll give you guys I don't think this question is in circulation anymore because of how long ago I took the exam, but one of the questions on my exam was, you go to the beach and you decide to put sunscreen on your skin. Is this so you don't get and then you put sunscreen on your skin. Is this an example of positive reinforcement, negative reinforcement, operant conditioning, or respondent conditioning? Right? And this is really confusing because you're like, well, it can be negative reinforcement because you're avoiding a burn, but it can be positive reinforcement because you're applying something to your skin, right? So the question is phrased in a really tricky way, and the options are like, well, like multiple things could apply here. What am I going to pick, right? But the answer that's most appropriate in a situation like that is operant conditioning, because operant conditioning includes both positive and negative reinforcement under it, right? So you want to think outside the box, and you want to be prepared for looking at what is this question really trying to get me to demonstrate in terms of my knowledge base. And the best way that you can do that is or one of the recommendations that I would have, in addition to using SAFMEDS, using the Pass the Big ABA exam, is find a buddy who is also studying and prepare with them, because the more you practice saying this stuff out loud and having someone give you feedback on how you're giving responses to these questions, the more prepared you're going to feel. And obviously pick someone who you trust has a good ABA repertoire, so someone maybe more knowledgeable than you. I know within a lot of agencies, supervisors schedule these like, hey, let's get a team together of those people who are studying for the next set of the BCBA exam, and like we can all like have a study group together, right? So you could do things like that. You could do practice questions. You could write practice questions for each other, try to trip each other up, and really just spend some time discussing the material to help you identify the areas where you're stronger and weaker. And take out that 5th edition task list or that 4th edition task list, whichever version you're going to be using, and go through that and be like, okay, like what Kelly was talking about with the self-assessment, ask yourself, how well do I know this particular task list item? Do I need to go back to the book? Do I need to go back and practice this skill? What's going to help me be most prepared if I were to encounter a question about this particular task list item?
All right. That's a lot of good information.
Super helpful. Thank you.
Wonderful. Good. I'm glad they were able to answer your question with lots of advice. We do have another question from Annie. Any tips or advice on how to handle between the workload of practicum, i.e. competencies, and accruing hours at our site? Any suggestions or any tips regarding this question? Yes.
I can take a stab at it, and then I would really like to hear from our alums about how they balanced these things. My recommendation would be don't take on more than you can handle. A lot of times students are very interested in collecting their hours as quickly as possible, but sometimes when you're in the practicum class, there's so much other things for you to be doing, because you're not just taking practicum, you're also taking some other classes where you have other coursework to do, right? So I would have this conversation with your site and see what would make sense in terms of a caseload for you that's appropriate, where you can do what you need to do to pass the practicum class, but not so much where you're trying to collect as many hours as you can within that 1 11-week term. And I think that once you get through 1 or 2 terms and you have a better handle on the types of competencies you'll be presenting and the workload, by your 2nd or 3rd term, you might feel more comfortable starting to accrue a few more hours.
Aaron, go ahead.
So I think for me, I don't know if you felt like this, Kelly, but I kind of felt like my practicum site, like the competencies and the accruing hours kind of formed this like weird singularity where they kind of were like almost one and the same, where I was at work, but it was accruing hours for the program, but also you're with like the learners that you're presenting these cases on. So you're really just kind of immersed in both like your accruing hours and those competencies at the same time. I guess it's different if I'm not sure if they're still doing mock competencies, but if you are doing like clinical case presentations on the actual learners from your site, then it really does kind of not so much blend together. Like you still do have to go accrue your hours and then make time at home when you're not accruing hours to, work on these competencies. But I really felt like I was thinking about my competencies while I was at work accruing hours. And I think like balancing just not taking on too much is really important. I think that's a really good point that you made, Professor. But I would say that I don't know. Personally, for me, it kind of felt less overwhelming when they kind of molded together in my mind. Like the practicum and the work were kind of one and the same. Like my school was my work and my work was my school. And that might just be for me personally because I was working with this site before practicum. So I'm not sure if that's what made it like that, but yes, that was kind of my take on it.
Yeah, I had a similar experience where I felt like my job was almost an extension of school. And so I guess I was really lucky in that I work on site with my supervisor, so I would see her every day. I think honestly, one of the hardest parts of practicum is doing all of the forms that you have to do at the end of the month. And so not putting those off can actually save you a lot of time come the end of the month, because that's the time for me that always got really stressful when like I didn't have all those forms ready when they needed to be done right away, and like scrambling on the 30th and 31st to get them done. So I would say definitely try not to do that. I can learn from my mistake. But yeah, also like looking at the 3 terms of practicum almost as like one really big class, because you're going to get this like book of things that you can pick from. And so kind of like looking at things that make sense. So like I was able to use a few clients like throughout the terms, but their programs kind of built off each other. So I was like, hey, if I do this competency with him this semester, I can do this competency with him next semester. And since, it accrues over time, kind of looking at it from the whole plan from the beginning really helped me make practicum like flow a lot better.
Yes, Azizel. Yes, you had a comment.
Yeah, so I know for my experience of being on ground, I know that I think we had a lot more comps that we had to get done within each term practicum, but as both Kelly and Aaron said, I felt like I was getting everything done at work and just having to do the write-ups basically outside on my own time. So that was just me managing my time to make sure that I had set aside enough time in the week to do my write-ups and my homework assignments. But one thing that helped me out like significantly at the beginning of my program is once I got my comp packet, I gave it to my supervisor. I had been working at my site for a few years, so I had developed rapport with them, and they were pretty motivated to help me in my studies. But I gave her the comp packet, and we just started going through and seeing which client that I was working with. I was on cases with her for. I could start getting all of these done right away. And that was definitely really helpful because then we maintained that communication throughout my whole, master's experience. And all the supervisors I worked with knew exactly what I needed to get done. So they were never ever confused about like what they needed to help me on and what they needed to supervise me and help me build competency with. It was a clear communication. So that definitely just made that process a lot easier for me. And then again, it's just mostly like time management for me. I did have to, after my first term of practicum, I was very overconfident with how much work I could be doing while commuting around in LA. And I really quickly learned that that was not a way for me to keep my sanity. So I had to have a conversation about reducing my hours. And it was, at the end of the day, you also have to see how much you can actually put there and not, totally feel burnout during your master's course. You want to keep being passionate about the field and feel that you're learning from it as much as, you're giving back to your clients, because you don't want to do disservice to them either.
Excellent.
Thank you. That was so helpful.
Oh, wonderful. Wonderful. I think we are running out of time. This has been going sort of fast today. So, but I want to thank everyone for all of your comments and all of your advice. Let me mention that Jessica has put in the chat some additional information regarding searching on LinkedIn or searching for opportunities, job opportunities.
Yeah, I'll
So
speak to that just for a second, Renee. I want to
yes,
make sure that's clear. Sam, you mentioned how do you find practicum opportunities, and that's one thing that I forgot to showcase. When you search for behavior analysts, filter down and start to look for your second connections, and then also apply the location filter. And what you're doing there is striking up a conversation that someone's in the field, and you'd be asking them, do they know of any practicum opportunities? So you're virtually networking on LinkedIn to see if they could be a site supervisor or they know of any other telehealth or internship opportunities through their network. So critical. If all of that was too quick, just reach out to our team and my coaches can showcase the same steps that I showed you earlier today. So visit us, the emails in the chat, as well as the link for the Virtual Career Center. That's a self-paced course and the LMS for you to walk through too.
perfect. Thank you, Jessica. And if we don't have any more questions, let's put up the very last slide. And then we'll wrap up our session for today. And so hopefully everyone was able to get a lot of information, a lot of good tips from the roundtable. And so what we'd like to do is have you fill out a short evaluation so that we know what you liked about this roundtable, what we can improve on, and what additional topics that you'd like to see in the next roundtables that we want to have. And so that's a QR code that you can use in order to fill out the survey or go to the survey to fill it out. And then I also included in the chat a link to that same evaluation so that you could fill that out as well. So we'd like for you to take advantage of that and fill out our evaluation for the roundtable. And then we also want you to get involved with GSEP if you aren't already involved. So there's the QR code right there for GSEP. So you can get involved in all kinds of activities that we have. And then our contact information. If you ever need us to get in touch with me or with Sophia, you can contact us at GSEP Alumni Relations. There is our email, gsepalum@pepperdine.edu, and our phone number, 310-568-5649. Thank you to everyone. Thank you to Dr. Lucine, and thank you to Kelly and Aaron and Azizel, our alums that joined us for today. And thank you to Leah and Jessica and Kate for joining us. And thank you to the students who had such wonderful questions. And hopefully you got a lot out of this and received a lot of tips to help you get through your program. And if you ever need to get in contact with us, please use that email and the phone numbers. And for the alums, if it's okay, would you mind if the students got in touch with you and if we connected you with the students we're going to send a recording of this session to everyone that joined us today and all the students that registered for today. And just want to know, would it be okay if we sent your emails as well for everyone that spoke today? Perfect. Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you. If there are no other questions, it is now 5 o'clock. So I'm going to say goodbye to everyone. Thank you. And we look forward to seeing you at our next Student Alumni Roundtable.
Yes.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
All right, thank you for having us.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Bye. It's good to see you again, Lucina. Oh, she's gone. Rip. Feels bad.